So, good morning, everyone. Today we shall discuss the advanced queries in SQL, so which includes the additional features of SQLs, which are provided by the several DBMS packages. So, the first thing which we will discuss is the assertion. So, in SQL, we have a concept of assertion. So, this is used when we want to check or put some constraints in the database. So as we have already discussed, we can specify constraints through primary keys or using the check keyword. So while creating the table itself, we can specify the check condition where we will check the value of an attribute. So these are the rules which we can specify when we create a table. So means primary keys, foreign keys, null values or default values are using check condition. But the problem with these constraints or these ways of specifying a constraint is they check only the values of one particular tuple or one row. All the attribute for all attribute values in a tuple, we can specify some or other constraint. But in the application, there will be scenarios where we want to compare the values of one tuple with another tuple. So when we have such conditions, then these way of specifying the constraints will not fit. So for those type of conditions or constraints, so we will go with assertion. So the assertion is a constraint that we will define when we want to put the constraints on the values of one tuple with another tuples. So this is the example. Suppose let us imagine in our company database, we have a condition that the salary of an employee must not be greater than the salary of the manager of that particular department. For example, if a person is working in the research department, the condition here is his salary should not be greater than the salary of the manager of that department. So when we look at this from the application perspective, this condition looks valid because no department or in any department, it is the manager who will have the maximum salary compared to rest of the employees in that particular department. But this condition we cannot specify in the basic constraints because if an employee, if the manager's salary is let us say 50,000, and while entering the employee tuple, I can enter more than 50. Let us say I will enter 60. So if I put 60,000 as a salary, all the basic constraints which we define in employee table will not be violated because 60,000 is a valid value. It belongs to the particular domain of the attribute, and there is no violation of primary key, no violation of foreign key. But the comparison of this particular value with the manager of the department, when we take the conditions or constraints of the application, then there will be a violation. So you cannot specify this particular thing in basic constraints. So we have to create an assertion. So assertion we will create when we have to put a condition based on the tuple values, or when we are comparing the value of one tuple with the another tuple. So the syntax will be like this: create assertion. So this is a keyword followed by the name of the constraint. So just like how we create the table, create assertion, name of the assertion, then another keyword we will put, that is check. And after check, we will be writing the parenthesis. In the parenthesis, we can write two keywords: exists or not exists. So both the things can be written, and inside that one query we will write. So similar to the queries which we have discussed, the select from where clauses we will write. So the syntax is create assertion, assertion name, check, within that exists, or other option which we can write is not exists, and inside that there will be a query. So any query we can write over here. So if the query evaluates to true, or if any tuples are there, then not exists will evaluate to false. So again, this exists or not exist, finally it will evaluate to true or false. If it is the final condition is true, then the assertion is valid. If the condition is false, then the assertion is violated. So just like that, this exists and not exists. So that depends on the application developer whether we can put exist or not exist. So that depends on what condition we are checking. So the query for this simple checking would be like this: select star from employee E, employee M, department D. So it means two employee instances are being used, one as E, another as M. So we'll check E dot salary, that is employee dot salary, greater than M dot salary. So here we are assuming that M is the employee table which we will be using for the salaries of the managers. And the join condition is E dot department number, which means employee department number, is equal to D dot department number, that is the joining of E and D. Then joining of department manager SSN is equal to M dot SSN. So employee and department D, they are joined based on department numbers, whereas the M and D are joined based on the manager SSN. So because we need the manager. And the condition that is being checked over here is E dot salary greater than M dot salary. So whether the salary is greater than the manager's salary. Now what happens in our database, if any such instances or tuples are present, this query will return some rows because the condition which we have written is greater than. So if any employee is salary is greater than his manager's salary, then that particular row will be returned by this particular query. If any row is returned by this particular query, it indicates that there is a violation. So which means our expectation is, in the valid state of the database, this particular query should not return any rows. It means 0 rows should be written. So when we expect this to be 0 rows, we have to write not exists, because that is the one that will give us the true. So finally, whether to use not exists or exists depends on how many rows we want. If we are expecting 0 rows always, then we will write not exists. If our expectation is more than 0 rows or minimum 1 row, then we will write exists. So in our case, it is 0 rows we are expecting. If we are expecting 0 number of rows to be written by the query, then we will write not exists. So what happens when 0 rows are written? It indicates it is valid. Not exist will return true. So which means the assertion is validated. Now suppose if any employee salary is greater than his manager's salary, then let us imagine one row is written. When one row is written by this inner query, not exists becomes false because there is an existence. So it becomes false. It indicates the assertion has failed. So that is how we decide whether to use exists over here or not exists. So specify a query that violates the condition will include not exist class. So query result must be empty. So if a query result is not empty, the assertion is violated. So this is the general things that we follow over here. So this is about assertions, and assertions always leave the database in a valid state. So this assertion holds good whenever we insert the data or update the data, or even when we delete the data. So all the times checking will be done. So next, another concept which we'll study is the triggers. So as the name itself indicates, trigger is nothing but an event. To monitor the database and to take the action when a specific condition occurs, we'll use the trigger. So triggers are expressed in a syntax similar to the assertions, and trigger includes few things, that is the event, condition and action. So event can be anything from database perspective: insert, delete, update. These three are the event. So event means any action that will change the state of the database. If we insert the data, delete the data and update the data, the state of the database will be changed, and that is the event. So event means three things: insert, delete and update. So whenever an insert, delete or update is happening, we will check for one condition. If that condition is satisfied, then we will perform one action. So action can be again anything. Action can also be an insert, delete or update. So action is the task that is performed when a condition is satisfied. So event, condition, action. So these three things are specified in a trigger. So the syntax of a trigger is like this. A trigger to compare an employee's salary to his or her supervisor during insert or update operation. So what we will write is, so the syntax will be like this: create trigger, name of the trigger we will write, then we have to write the action. So here again, when we specify the action, that is insert, delete or update, we will have to write whether it is before or after, which means if we want to check the condition before inserting the data or after inserting the data. Similarly, before deletion, after deletion, before updation, after update. So all that after or before we need to specify. So that becomes the condition. So here we will be writing the trigger for insert or update. So before insert or update, then followed by the keyword of salary, supervisor, SSN on employee. So of is a keyword, then followed by the list of attributes on which we want to apply the trigger on employee. What we'll do is, for each row that is there in the employee table, for each row, when new dot salary greater than, here we will check for his supervisor salary. Select salary from employee where SSN is equal to new dot supervisor SSN. Then inform supervisor, one function we are calling. So this inform supervisor will perform the action where it will be informed that the supervisor salary is greater than the employee salary. So whenever we are using a trigger and we are specifying the insert or update operation, the row which we are inserting or the row which we are updating, that will be referred as a new row. So that's why when we are accessing its attributes, it will be preceded with new keyword, new dot salary. So new dot salary means it is a salary of the row that I am inserting now, or it is the salary of the row that I am updating now. So in order to refer to the specific row which we are inserting currently or updating currently is referred through the keyword new. If we are deleting, then we have one more keyword, that is old. Old is also a keyword where we will refer to the row that we are either deleting or updating. So in both the cases, that old is utilized. So just like this, in a trigger, we will specify action. So action is insert or update. So condition we will write over here. Here, when is the condition? Then action is this. Some actions can be performed over here. So an action can be a procedure call, or it can be a insert, delete, or update operation. So anything can be written. So this is the general syntax of this particular trigger. So next concept in SQL is the views. View is nothing but a virtual table that is derived from other tables. So if we have 5 tables in a database and we are running a particular query very often on those tables, then what we will do is, instead of running the query again and again, because what happens when we run the query is, when we click on run button, the query first goes to query processing will happen, which means the optimization of query will happen, then the compilation, and finally a, a ready compiled query will be there that gets executed on the execution engine. So all these steps is followed each time when we run the query. And on our database, we are running a particular query very often. Then what we can do is, we can skip the first stages, that is optimization, everything, by declaring a view. So when we create a view for that particular query, so it is nothing but giving a name to a query through defining a view. So we will create a view. A view is nothing but a virtual table of a underlying query. Then what happens? All those processing of the query, optimization, everything will be done and it is ready. And each time we view the value, or when we put a query on a view, all those things will be skipped. This means there is a saving of time. So this view is called as a virtual table. Virtual table means a table that is not having a physical existence. So it is just virtually a table, which it is nothing but a result of a query. So this allows for a limited update operation. So since views are not stored physically, and we can run a query on a view itself, and it is very convenient for expressing certain operations. So in our first laboratory experiment also, we have created a view. The syntax is create view, followed by the name we will give, then for possible list of attribute names. So we can put the arithmetic operations also. Um, and when we are specifying the aggregate functions, we will rename the attributes, and then followed by the query to the specific table contents. So here is an example. Specify a different works on table. So here, create view followed by name of the view, then the keyword as is written. After this keyword, we will write one query. So this query, select first name, last name, project name, hours from employee, project and works on. where we will be joining the employee table and the works on table through the SSN, and works on with project using the project number, then group by the project name. So for each project, now we will be having the first name, last name, and the number of hours on which employees are working. So this entire query can now be called as a view, that is works on new. And this works on new, it acts as a table, but it doesn't have a physical existence. Whenever we run any query or just select star from works on new, so it appears as a table, but it is a virtual table. Virtual table means it has no existence. And why we will use views? In order to save the query processing time, or when we are performing or realizing a query many times, then instead of running a query again and again, we can create a view and run some actions on this particular view also. Now, once a view is created, this particular view can be treated as a table itself. The only thing is we cannot directly insert, update, and delete from this particular view. But all other select queries can be run on this particular view. In order to insert or delete or update from this, we have to perform the actions on the underlying tables. So these employee project works on, they act as the underlying table now. If we perform any actions on these three tables, that gets automatically reflected in a view. Suppose I inserted 10 new employees or a new project is added into the database. And then if I check what are the rows in this particular view, then all those things will be updated in this, because view is not the physical, it is a virtual. And view is realized only when a query is run on that particular view. Suppose currently I have 10 employees. When I created a view, and when I check the values of the views using select star from works on new, all those 10 rows will be displayed. Next, I will insert 20 new employees to the employee project and works on. And now when I select, when I run the query on a view, that is select star from works on new, now the earlier 10 and the new 20 together, it will display the 30 employees. So which means if the underlying tables are updated or if their values get changed, in the view also data gets updated, because the value in the view is not stored anywhere. It is realized at the runtime when we run a query on a view. So that's why views are always updated when the underlying data gets changes. So we can specify SQL queries as a newly created table. So just like this. So select first name, last name from works on new, where project name is this one. So here we have treated works on new as a table itself. So all the things that we perform on a table can also be performed on a view, except insert, delete, and update operations. And when a view is no longer required, so it can be dropped. So just like a table, so drop view works on. Now the view is deleted. So what are the advantages of using a view? So first thing is query processing time, and secondly, if we are running a query more number of times, so it is better to create a view. And if the core query remains same for many other queries, then we can run a query on a view itself, so that the pre-compiled query is ready in the database. So the effective implementation of a view is possible. So query modification. So present the view query in terms of a query on an underlying base table. So that is what we do. That is called as a query modification. So writing a query on a view itself. But there is a disadvantage of this query modification, that is inefficient for a views which are defined via the complex queries. So especially if additional queries are to be applied to view within a short time period. So if we have more number of inner queries or correlated nested queries, then realizing a view becomes inefficient. So the another efficient implementation is view materialization. So that is, as we mentioned in the beginning, view is a virtual table that doesn't have a physical existence, but we can make a temporary arrangement for storing this in a physical format. So view materialization involves physically creating and keeping a temporary table. So we can also do it for temporary time purpose. We can store a view physically, but we have to assume that other queries on view will follow because we have physically created it. And if we doesn't run a query on a view, then it is just wastage. So we'll assume that some other queries are also run on a view, but maintaining it with the base tables is a concern, because we have, if we physically create it and the underlying table values get changed, then this one also has to be changed. So that maintaining the correspondence between a base table and a view when a base table is updated, so that has to be done. And what we do is, strategically what is being done is an incremental update is done. So maybe periodical update. So if base table changes, then view gets changed maybe a very hour, or after a very 30 minutes that change is reflected, or 24 hours. So you might have observed in many of the scenarios, when you change your details in the bank, or when you change your details with the mobile operator, they will always tell you that it gets reflected after 4 hours, or it gets reflected after 24 hours. So it is because of these concepts. A view is utilized, the underlying table they gets changed. In order to change the view, they will strategically incrementally update it timely, maybe after 1 hour, 2 hour, or after a day, like that. So view update. So update on a single view that is present without aggregate operations can be done. So update may map an update to underlying base table. So if you are updating a view, it indicates we are updating the base table. So the reverse can also, so in some of the databases, the reverse operation is also possible. If a view is updated, then the underlying base tables are also gets updated. So otherwise it's always the one way, base table gets updated, then the view get updated. The reverse is also possible. So that is the view updation. If view involves a join, then an update may map to update on underlying relationships. So which means if two tables are involved, then it may be a need that both the tables gets updated. So that can also be done. So unupdatable views. So views for which we have defined a group or aggregate functions, so they are not updatable. So which means we cannot update a view. So views without grouping and aggregate functions can be updated. So views defined on multiple tables using join are generally not updatable. With check option, it must be added to a definition of a view if a view is updated. So if we are updating a view, then again the conditions or constraints whatever we have on the attributes, so they all has to be specified while creating a view itself. So this is regarding the assertion, triggers and views. So assertions were nothing but the conditions or rules that we enforce between the tuples. Then trigger is nothing but a action that we perform when a condition is met. Then views are nothing but the virtual tables. So in our next class we shall discuss the database application development. So you can enter your attendance.